democratically elected government in Chile.
I really think Chile was probably the basis and the most corrupt of all the actions because it had nothing to do with national security.
Copper is used all over the world, but the largest known reserve of copper ore is in South America, in the Republic of Chile.
In the 1960s, Chile was fertile soil for American corporate interests, including IT&T, which controlled the copper industry, and Pepsi-Cola. Early in 1970, Pepsi and IT&T were concerned about political developments in Chile. As the country's democratic presidential elections approached, a left-wing candidate named Salvador Allende was gaining popular support. His ties to Fidel Castro were of particular concern.
He was the spokesman for Castro everywhere. As part of his electoral platform, he had said he would not accept American aid. He had inveighed against American capitalism, described the United States as not really being a democracy, but the Soviet Union was a democracy.
Allende promised to nationalize Chile's copper industry, a direct threat to IT&T and concern to other U.S. corporations.
I directed that an approach be made to both the State Department and Mr. Kissinger's office to tell them that we had grave concern over the outlook for ITT's investment.
As IT&T called on Kissinger to take action against Allende, Pepsi President Donald Kendall echoed the same concern to an old friend, Richard Nixon.
If he does it right in Chile, he's going to ensure a good flow of campaign money in 71 and 72. He's got a lot of big money people that want him to do something about Chile. So Chile became the most important national security item they had.
What brought about the changes in Chile were the facts that it was being communized by Allende.
On September 4th, Allende won a plurality of the vote. It appeared certain that his victory would be confirmed by the Chilean Congress.
The election in Chile has been won, but the president has not been confirmed, the new president, Salvador Allende. Chile has, like the United States, a transition period of about 60 days.
The CIA declared that Chile under Allende would not be a threat to the United States, but Nixon found the prospect of an Allende presidency unacceptable.
As advisor to Richard Nixon, Kissinger followed Machiavelli's rule of flattering, adulating, and serving the powerful to be a success.
In a September meeting, Kissinger shared his views on Chile's democratic election. I don't see why we need to stand by and watch a country go communist due to the irresponsibility of its people. On September 15th, Nixon met in the Oval Office with Kissinger and Richard Helms, director of the CIA. Helms' handwritten notes reveal a plan to prevent Allende from coming to power. Not concerned risks involved. No involvement of the embassy. 10 million available, more if necessary. An internal CIA memo dated September 16th outlines the official but secret policy implemented by the CIA under the supervision of Henry Kissinger. Kissinger asked Helms to report directly to him on the details of coup operations. Concealed from the Departments of State and Defense, as well as the U.S. Embassy in Chile, this plan for covert action became known as Track 2.
Of course, that was a broad policy. I make no excuses for that. It should have been. Another Marxist regime in the hemisphere? No.
In a meeting with Haig and others, Kissinger emphasized that drastic action was called for to shock the Chileans.
Kissinger really became the general manager of this covert operation, representing the President of the United States. He ignored the advice of his own staff that a coup was not possible.
I decided to start sending these increasingly worrying alarms to Kissinger, that anything that might be tried would be an utter failure. The Chilean military was not going to engage in anything. Allende was certainly going to be elected. Nothing could stop it.
Kissinger swept aside these objections and pressed the CIA to go forward to foment a military coup.
But the third cable was the one that really excited Kissinger, because it said unequivocally that if any adventure were undertaken, it would boomerang against the United States and personally against the president worse than the Bay of Pigs. That was the cable that got me a summons home right away because they thought I had stumbled on their plot.
Fine, we'll call you.
So I flew to Washington. The president greeted me. He then launched into a denunciation of Allende. He kept hitting his hand like that. He was going to smash Allende economically. Kept referring to him as that bastard, that SOB. He was going to smash him.
With the inauguration approaching, word of possible covert action against Allende reached General René Schneider, head of the Chilean military. Schneider announced he would uphold Allende's confirmation by the Chilean Congress. He was unaware that men from within his own ranks were being recruited by the CIA.
Mi padre era una persona muy tierna, sí. Mi papá era una persona que no mentía, que lo que decía lo cumplía. Y la ley significaba que la decisión de quién era presidente de Chile la había tomado el Congreso.
Through the United States diplomatic bag for short term.
Yeah, his best place is to keep it.
On October the 15th, Kissinger received word that Track 2 coup plotters had made a failed attempt to kidnap General Schneider. In a meeting with the CIA, he expressed his concern that plans for a coup at this time cannot succeed. In his memoirs, Kissinger would later write that he had turned off Track 2 at this meeting. But the very next day, the CIA sent a cable to Chile. It is firm and continuing policy that Allende be overthrown by a coup. It is imperative that these actions be implemented clandestinely and securely so that the United States government and American hand be well hidden.
If you're Henry Kissinger, everybody knows what you want. Does he know that they know what he wants? Sure. Does he know what they're going to do or how they're going to do it? Are you kidding? Anybody that would tell him what's going to happen is never going to do a briefing again. Do you really think somebody would take a piece of paper into the White House that say a consequence of this may be a death of somebody? Do you really think so? No.
Immediate Santiago, submachine guns and ammo being sent by regular courier, leaving Washington 0700 hours, 19 October. Due arrive Santiago late evening 20 October or early morning 21 October. Preferred use regular courier to avoid bringing undue attention to operation.
Mi padre salió de aquí tipo 8 de la mañana en un auto en que iba solamente con su chofer. Llegaron a la esquina de... iban llegando a la esquina de Martín Zamora con Américo Vespucio y el auto ahí fue rodeado por otros y se le impidió el paso. De un jeep que queda al otro costado sale gente, rompen el vidrio con un mazo y disparan hacia adentro. Muchos disparos, ¿te fijas?
When they moved the stop sign that morning, and his chauffeur didn't pay that much attention to it. I mean, for driving, he went the same way all the time. And then here one morning, he goes to go there, and it's blocked off. And it's over here, and then he stopped the car, and they shot him.
Was it American mischief? You know, that was investigated ad nauseum by an opposition senator, Church. Mm-hmm. And if you read the Church hearings, it's all there. And nobody was indicted. Nobody was charged with illegal acts.
Mr. Kissinger, his presence here should not be interpreted as meaning that he himself was ever involved in any plot to assassinate any foreign figure.
In the Church Committee, the CIA testified that Kissinger had been kept fully informed of the Schneider situation every step of the way, even after October 15th. Kissinger maintained that he turned off all coup plotting on October 15th.
For Kissinger to be correct, this would go down in history as one of the greatest misunderstandings between the White House and the CIA. But when you read the documents, Kissinger was very clear. He said, let us keep pressure on every Allende weak spot in sight. Now, and into the future